All right, everyone, thank you. Thanks for your patience also. I did not expect such a large crowd. But today we have Tim Fay, and he's presenting on the Big Hole Valley, and he also contributed to a large part of this Big Hole Valley book. And also, this is just volume 1, but if you guys wanted to check out volume 2, we have that here in our library. But Tim first moved to Montana in 1975 and worked for the Bureau of Land Management. And after that, in 1994, he moved to the Big Hole Valley and became interested in the area's history. And today he will be talking about the Big Hole Valley and the annexation of part of Silver County, and also parts of Deer Lodge County in the early 20th century, and then also Silver County boundary line. And thank you, Tim, for coming today, and take it away.
All right. They told me there'd be about a dozen here. They got on track at 40. This first picture here is the Mule Ranch, which some of you know where they are, and then the Anaconda Wilderness area back in here. Most people ask me what the blue flowers are. Those are blue camas flowers. Next picture. It doesn't show. But the Mule Ranch first started out in Silver County, and now it's in Deer Lodge County. And I guess that's kind of what we're going to be talking about here, if we can get that to work. Fine. And we're not working.
Are you recording this?
Yeah.
Doesn't look like it's on.
There we go. All right, we're going to start in actually 1863 Idaho Territory, because Montana was part of Idaho Territory when Idaho Territory was created, and Idaho set out the counties. Montana Territory was organized in 1864, and the 1865 legislature meeting in Bannock accepted those counties. And if you'll count them, there's only 8 counties. The 9th county was created in that legislature, and that was Edgerton County, which very shortly afterwards got changed to Lewis and Clark County. Next picture. The first county seat for Deer Lodge County was Silver Bow City. Here's a picture of Silver Bow City in 1900. And that was out here by Nistler Junction. Next one. What we're talking about here today is that the 1881 legislature created Silver Bow County. And right here is Silver Bow County, and they cut it off from Deer Lodge County. The slide before, I was going to say that Deer Lodge County used to run all the way to the Canadian border and all the way down to Melrose. But anyways, they created Silver Bow County out of the south part of Deer Lodge County. And it was to be all that part of Deer Lodge County, Montana Territory, which lies south of a line drawn east and west through said county, extending along in direction of the first standard parallel of the base line according to the system of public land survey. And next slide. If they had used that first proposal, this is the first standard parallel, and it would have gone right over through Warm Springs Canyon. Now that's in 1881. Anaconda was not there at that time. Bailey then decided to put the smelter there until about 1863. But there was objections to doing that because all of this area in here was agriculture. And they said that agriculture doesn't go with mining over in Butte and Silver Bow County. And so they changed that boundary, and they said they're going to follow the first standard parallel over to the Deer Lodge Guide Meridian and drop south 6 miles to near Gregson Springs. And something right here, here's Warm Springs, and right here was the French Crossing, where the Deer Lodge Road went up the east side of the Deer Lodge River. And so that's the way they lined it out in 1881, the county line. That county line ran from here all the way over to Stony Creek. Next slide. Here's Anaconda again, this little newer. This is the upper settling pond. To give you an idea just exactly where that point is. And then down to Gregson and then across. Next slide. There was a lot of confusion as to exactly where the county lines were in Montana. There was one article that appeared that they talked about the county lines were so vague that when the tax collector came, the guy said, well, I don't live in your county, I live in the other county. And when that tax collector showed up, he'd say, oh, I live in the other county over here. And so there was a lot of marking the county lines. They had to do a survey. And so in 1889, the legislature passed a bill to survey the county line for Silver Bow County. And this is where it started, right in here. Gregson Springs is over in here. This is about a mile off the interstate on the Gregson Road. And that line starts here and goes right up through here. And they ran it all the way through to Stony Creek. And then up the divide to Rock Creek. Now, if you're confused, Stony Creek is now Rock Creek. And Rock Creek is now Pitler Creek. So 14, they got a group together to survey the line. There were about 14 of them that started. There was a representative from each county. The one from Silver Bow was Wyman, Captain Wyman. The one from Beaverhead was Al Noyes. And Morgan Evans was from Deer Lodge County. And they started with 14 people here August 9th. Next slide. And this picture, I tried retracing that line. And this is Mill Creek drainage here. And I figured that as they surveyed the line, they were supposed to put monuments in, markers. And right on the top of this ridge is where that line goes over. And this pole here, I'm suspicious of it, that may be one of these markers. I don't know, but I went up on this ridge and I tried retracing some of that line, and I did find that evidence. But the next slide. They did go across that. This is the lower 10-mile lakes. And the line went between the lake and these cliffs here. The next slide. And this is the middle 10-mile lakes. The line goes right across the lake and right up over this ridge. Next slide. This person is Fred Gill, who was up on that ridge by 10-mile lakes, and if you'll notice this hole, which is very, very reminiscent of the one that I found in Mill Creek. I don't know, maybe it is. Fred was born in 1885. Your guess is as good as mine as to when that picture was taken. And for those of you who live out in Big Hole, Fred was Kay Kyle's grandfather. Next picture. This is just a scenic view of looking out over the French Gulf country, Deep Creek, at the Anaconda Pillars. Next. This is Mount Evans. The antelope got away on that picture. And the line goes right across here. And one of the surveyors fell about 20 feet when they were doing that. I guess it kind of rang his chimes. He wasn't too badly injured. Next one. When they got over surveying, and one of the problems with surveying this line is they could only get a few days in, or a little short distance in, because the country was so rough and everything. And they had camped over in Seymour Creek, and they had to go around by Anaconda, and this is East Fork Reservoir. And I think that they camped somewhere in here. And it took them 2 days to find where they left off the line up there. And they finally found it. And like I said, there was a lot of forest fires in 1889, so there was smoke was a big problem. And the other one was that nobody knew where they were. The next picture. This is Pittler Falls in the spring. When they came over the divide, they came down Pittler Creek and over these falls. Of course, there wasn't as much water then as there is in that picture. Next one. And this is the Pittler Creek drainage here. It's a picture I took here about a month ago. Another one. And the mouth of Pittler Creek is right here. And that's where the survey ended. So, next one. This line, this map here is a map of Silver Bow County, 1890. And it was done by John Hagel from the notes that Gus Kornberg. Gus Kornberg was the main surveyor on this line. And when they came across here, they named some of the features. Mount Evans was one of them. Mount Lee Mantle, if that rings a bell with anybody. Lee was a mayor of Butte. He was also a senator. The Lee Mantle building is down here on Broadway, which is the Piccadilly Museum, I guess it is. And I think his house was at one time Doolin Dog and Mortuaries up on North Montana. But the interesting thing here is that they did name some of these peaks and things like that, and Mount Evans and Warren are the only two that are left. What happened to the rest of them, I don't know. Lost. I would like to find Kornberg's notes and map. He was supposed to supply to each county the notes and the map. But this is all I could find here. And John Hagel was on the survey, so he did know something about it. See, this right here is Pittler Creek that they came down, and I think that this is Pittler Pass right in here. Next one. This is a close-up of some of that line. Went through there. The other thing that's kind of confusing is that these features that they name, like Mount Evans, doesn't match up with today's maps. So I don't know what happened. Next one. All right, this is, well, anyway, as a result of the survey, one of the things that they discovered was that Beaverhead County had been assessing taxes in Deer Lodge County, which had became Silver Bowl County. So there was about 30 ranchers and stuff that were paying taxes in Beaverhead County. And Beaverhead County says, well, we had a map that showed that we had all this ground from French Creek, Deep Creek, Pentland Creek. That was Beaverhead County, and it wasn't. So there's some of the confusion. And that piece is right there. Next slide. Right in here. And this map was put together in 1879 by the General Land Office of the U.S. Department of the Interior. And where they got their lines from, I have no idea. But this is that Deep Creek, French Creek country. And Beaverhead County was collecting taxes. Next one. This is a survey from 1868, and we got French Gulch, town of French Gulch up here, and this was the old Pioneer Trail. It came across, if anybody knows where the home range is, and right in here, this is Seymour Creek. You got Arcola, and then they came out with Marsh Creek onto the river. And this was the old Pioneer Trail, and it was still being used as the county road clear into, well, 1903. Next one. This is part of the old county road right here. It's called Dino's Lane because Peter Dino had a homestead right in here. This is taken from up by the company corrals, if anybody knows where that is. And but the road went across here, and it was nicknamed Dino's Mud Hole. And I think that actually was used for access back into this country clear in 1960 or so. And they put in the Seymour Lake Road. And the big beef of the people that were in Silver Bowl County here, the ranchers and like that, was that they petitioned Silver Bowl County to fix the road. And Silver Bowl County wouldn't do it. So, next one. And as a result, they wouldn't do it. The merchants in Anaconda put a fund together, and they started fixing up the road. And then there was a petition put forth to the legislature to annex this part of Silver Bowl County back to Deer Lodge County, because Deer Lodge County said they'd fix the road. So, in 1903, the legislature annexed that back to Deer Lodge County. The first proposal was to run from Gregson Hot Springs down Jerry Creek. It's the county line, and that was objected to because the mining activity in German Gulch would go to Deer Lodge County. So they settled on a line that came from just west of Gregson Springs, between Willow Creek and Beef Street, and then they followed the divide from between Bear Gulch and Johnson Creek. I guess that they followed the divides because they didn't want to do another survey. The survey had cost, let's see, it took them 100 days to run that survey, and the bill that was presented to the counties was for $20,000. which doesn't sound like an awful lot nowadays, but that's about $400,000 in today's dollar. And Deer Lodge County objected to it, and it went to court, and the state Supreme Court decided that they had to pay the bill. Anyways, the fight was over the road system. Next one. Here's Arcola. Here's, let's see, Ralston's right here. And in 1903, right after they got the county back into Deer Lodge County, they changed the road. They came down the east side, or the west side of Deep Creek, down to Ralston's. That's on the west side. And it wasn't until 1941 that the road was moved over onto the west side, or the east side. I'll get my direction mixed up here. And also at this time, the, whoops. If anybody knows where Bernowski's grade is, that's right in through here. Because the old road used to go through the town of French Gulf. So that got changed. Next one. And now we're back to the mule ranch. So, any questions?
Sounds like that surveys and land and everything's so moved up, you go out there and homestead if you want.
Well, I suppose you could try it.
They'd get a good argument. I'm not in your county, I'm in some other county. It's not here, it's over there. Let's get going.
So,
That's, yes.
you mentioned monuments, and I've seen some in my, the
Pardon?
monuments. You talked about monuments,
Yes.
Markers and survey monuments. Have they been upgraded? Is there like a routine that they?
Well, the county line monuments up there are no longer valid
Oh,
because the ground got annexed back to Deer Lodge County. Some of the public land survey monuments have been replaced because at the time they were done, they were rock corners, and now they put grass caps in. So some of those have been redone.
and they're accurate, or considered accurate.
According to the government, they are accurate, because even if they're in the wrong place, that's it. I mean, even if they made a mistake, they're off line, they're there, period.
My idea won't work.
No. Besides that, they did away with the Homesteading Act. Any other questions? Well, thank you for coming. I hope it didn't disappoint you.
Thank you.